This is episode 47 of the 99 Forever podcast. I'm Eric Friesen, and joining me tonight to recap Game 3 and 4 of the Edmonton Oilers first round series against the Los Angeles Kings is one of my best friends and the biggest Oilers fan in Australia, Chester Taylor. Chester, how's it going tonight?
I'm good, Eric. Thanks for having me again. I think this is my second one, right? Second or third?
It's actually your fourth, I believe.
A fourth already? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But the last podcast we did was like a pretty long time ago. So, yeah.
A little over a year ago. So it's good to have you back on the show. Have you been watching a lot of the playoffs so far?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to watch Game 3 because I was off from work. And then Game 4, I was just like listening on my phone because I was at work at the time. So, yeah, but, you know, it was okay because we really played bad in Game 4. But it was nice to have that day off on Game 3. I really enjoyed that game, you know. So, and we got the victory that day.
Yeah, exactly. And other than the Oilers and Kings, which playoff series have you been following the most?
To be honest, I think just the Oilers, yeah. The Oilers and Kings. That's all I've been watching. It's been following the Oilers, yeah. I mean, I've been looking at some games, like other highlights and stuff, like, you know, but from there and then, but mostly just the Oilers. Just focus on the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, when they're in the playoffs, it's pretty hard for them not to be at the top of the list. I am sort of also keeping an eye on the Calgary-Dallas series, just because if the Oilers do advance to the second round, which I believe they will, they're going to play one of those teams. And I know a lot of people are hoping for a Battle of Alberta in the playoffs, but I'd be just as happy if Dallas knocks out Calgary. Actually, more happy if they did.
I mean, yeah, I like it would be nice to play Calgary, you know. It'll be crazy in Alberta for sure, but yeah, I mean, I wish I could, you know, because like I live in Australia, right? The games here are in the morning, so I'm working on those times that the NHL games are being played here. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, as long as, you know, if I'm off, I just try to catch the games. But yeah, as I said a while ago, I'm just focused on the Oilers. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. But before we get into talking about some specific games tonight, just how much have you enjoyed watching the playoffs with fans at Rogers Place after a couple of years without them during the pandemic?
Oh, it feels so good. I mean, you know, because the last time we had fans was, I think it was the Anaheim Ducks one was the last
2017.
One, right? Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And then, you know, it just reminds me during those times when I was in the Philippines actually during that playoff run we had against the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, we beat the Sharks, right? And then
Sharks in the first round, and then they lost in 7 games to the Ducks in the second round.
That's right. Yeah, I was in the Philippines. I remember I was in the Philippines that time for holidays, and I really enjoyed that one. And now it's just, you know, fans are back. You know, the arena is rocking, and fans everywhere outside the arena. It's great. It's great. I mean, playoff hockey's back as well. So it's good that, you know, I mean, we were able to get one. Unfortunately, we lost Game 1, but we bounced back Game 2 and 3. That was great. I mean, you know, it's just good to see Oilers winning some hockey, playoff hockey games.
Definitely. And, you know, there are few fan bases around the NHL that support their team as well as the people of Edmonton support the Oilers. I mean, it's all Oilers all the time. And I was just in Edmonton to watch Game 1 against the Kings. And even though the Oilers lost that night, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had at a hockey game. Ford Hall was packed an hour before puck drop, and fans were chanting, "Let's go Oilers." There were orange jerseys everywhere. I mean, like you said, the building was rocking after every Oilers goal. It was easily the loudest I've ever heard Rogers Place. And
really? Was it really crazy when you went there?
Yeah, I mean, just... I didn't get to go to a playoff game in 2006, but I think that this is like as close as it has been to that playoff run. You could just feel the energy from the start. The fans were so amped up for it. And, you know, there's just a real buzz in Edmonton around this team. And there should be. I mean, this is a very good hockey team, and I think everyone's just excited to see how far they can go in the playoffs this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the people in Alberta are very passionate about their hockey. So, by the way, what jersey were you wearing when you watched Game 1?
I wore my Curtis Joseph jersey, and I felt like it was a good time to bring that one out because it was 25 years ago that he led the Oilers to upset over the Dallas Stars in the 1997 playoffs. So I had to bring that one out.
I was not expecting that, actually. I thought you were wearing your Nikita Nikitin jersey. But
I mean, you're still the president of the Nikita Nikitin fan club, so.
Oh man, that player! Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, nice. You're with someone when you watched it in the arena, or
no? I actually went alone. It was the first time I've ever gone to an NHL game alone, and I mean, it's hard to get someone to pay the price that to find another Oilers fan who's willing to spend over $300 for a ticket to a game. Yeah, it was expensive. I think other than the Heritage Classic in Winnipeg in 2016, this was the second most expensive ticket I've ever bought.
Yeah, well, at least you got to experience it. I wish.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it was
in
Edmonton at that time, but
lots of great memories from that game, despite the outcome. But anyway, we have 2 playoff games to break down tonight, so we'll start with Game 3 this past Friday. Evander Kane scored his first career playoff hat trick to power the Oilers to a dominant 8-2 road win and a 2-1 series lead. Kane was named the first star of the game and is now tied for the team lead in goals and points in the playoffs. Chester, how impressed have you been with Kane, not only in this series, but since he joined the team in January?
I mean, he's been awesome since he joined the team. I mean, he's like the player that really Connor needs with him is in Connor's line. I mean, that physical player, that skilled player. And man, he's been really great for us. I mean, his attitude. I mean, there are a lot of stuff happening with him the past years, but he's shown that he's just focused on playing hockey and wants to win games. And well, we all know that he's a very, very good player. But I mean, it's just good to see that he's just focused on playing, enjoying the game right now. And he doesn't seem distracted like he was in San Jose with all this off the ice stuff happening. So it's good. It's good to see him. But I just wish that he continues to play well for the rest of the playoffs. And I don't know. What do you think next season? Can we afford to sign him?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to actually ask you that. And really, since he arrived in Edmonton, Kane has been everything the Oilers could have hoped for and more.
How old is he? 30, 31, 33?
He's 30, turns 31 this summer. And
okay. It's pretty much same like Zach Hyman's age, right?
Yeah, a little bit older.
Okay.
But 1 year older. But, with his hat trick in Game 3, Kane has scored 27 goals in 46 games, including regular season and playoffs, which is good for second on the team over that span. And other than Leon Draisaitl, I think Kane is the best winger that Connor McDavid has had in his entire 7-year NHL career. And it's not just his ability to put the puck in the net that makes him such a good fit with Connor. Kane can also do a lot of the dirty work in the corners for him. He brings an intimidation factor and a toughness that makes him such a valuable player in the playoffs. And bringing in Kane has also allowed the Oilers to move Ryan Nugent-Hopkins from the wing back to his natural position at center. And when you can run McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, and McLeod down the middle, you have the best center depth in the entire league. And Edmonton just didn't have that luxury last season because they were severely lacking talent on the wings. And the fact that they got Kane on a bargain deal this year was an absolute gift. And you sort of asked me the question, but I'll pose it to you first. Do you think the Oilers should try to re-sign Kane in the summer?
Well, for me, I think they should. I mean, I think it's just the perfect wing for McDavid. I mean, that grit that he brings to the team. I mean, like if somebody's trying to get McDavid, he's always there, to protect McDavid. And I mean, he brings that swagger, that on that line right there. It's just perfect. It's just perfect for Connor. That skilled physical player that I mentioned a while ago. That's what Connor needs. You know what I mean?
And a shooter.
Yeah, and he never had that in his career. I mean, Leon. Yeah, I mean, Leon's a center, but he's been moved with Connor at the wing. Aside from Leon, with respect to what Jordan Eberle and maybe Taylor Hall back in his rookie year, I mean, he never had really that kind of a player with him.
Yeah, he does well with a player who can keep up with him for sure. And Kane does have the speed to play with Connor. The thing with Taylor Hall is, though, both of those players like to carry the puck a lot, and there's only one puck. So even though it looked like Taylor Hall was going to be a great fit playing the left side with Connor, it didn't maybe work as well as some people hope, because they both like to drive play. Eberle,
it kind of reminded me of Pat Maroon, right? Well, Pat Maroon's not as quick as Evander Kane, but man, Connor had good chemistry with him.
He did
during the playoffs.
Patrick Maroon went hard to the net and had a lot of tap-in goals, and he was a good fit. I think Connor does well with big physical wingers.
Yeah, and you know, with some speed. Kane has faster than Maroon, and it's just perfect. Yeah,
and Eberle was a good shooter too, but they had a brief time together at the end of the 2015-16 season where it looked like that could be a good pairing going forward. But ultimately, they only got to play together for 2 years because he was traded in 2017. Right. But I think Kane, like we said, outside of Draisaitl, is the best winger that McDavid's had in his career. The tough thing is that the Oilers don't have a ton of money to spend this summer, and they also have several young players they need to re-sign, like Jesse Puljujarvi, Kyler Yamamoto, Ryan McLeod. Unloading Zach Kassian or possibly Tyson Barrie in the offseason would give the Oilers a little more flexibility to get a deal done with Kane, but there's still a good chance that another team will be willing to offer him more money than the Oilers will. I think they would be smart to not give him more than $4 million a year times 4 years. And if you look at what their left wing depth chart is going to look like down the road, Zach Hyman is signed long term. Dylan Holloway will likely make the big club next season. So committing to Kane, who we said turns 31 in August, for any longer than 4 years, it carries quite a bit of risk, in my opinion. However, Ken Holland has to at least try to sign Kane and sell him on the idea of playing with the best player in the world and having multiple chances to win a Stanley Cup. I don't think he'll find a better situation around the league.
Yeah, well, it's all up to Vander, I guess. If it's either he's after the money or he's really happy with the team, you know what I mean? So, as you said, that he has the best player with him in Edmonton, but if he wants the money, it's going to be tough for us because of the salary cap. So,
yeah, because they only have about $13.5 million to spend, and right. For you, would you be willing to risk losing a guy like Yamamoto or Puljujarvi in order to keep Kane? They're so much younger, and you have to think about the future. But at the same time, can Kane help the team more right now than one of those guys?
I get the point that Puljujarvi and Yamo are really still young, but with where Connor is right now in his career, it's win now mode. He's got to win right. As soon as possible, he's got to win. So, as I said, Evander Kane's perfect for him. So that's why, as I said a while ago, if we can find ways to sign Evander Kane, that would be great, man. But I don't know. Do you think we're going to sign Yamo and Jesse, or one will go? What's your prediction with that? With the way, look, Jesse's struggling a bit in this series. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think Jesse's struggling. I think that he hasn't scored as much as we would have liked to seen from him. But
he's been sometimes quiet, right?
Yeah.
He got slided down to the fourth line last game, I think.
And maybe Puljujarvi will never be a great goal scorer. We don't know if he's ever going to turn into a 30-goal guy or not. But there are so many other things that he does well. Like he's excellent defensively. He's able to use his long stick and reach to steal pucks and extend plays, and he opens up space for Connor to work his magic. I think that Jesse has the potential to be a long-term winger for him. And Kyler Yamamoto, I mean, he took a big step forward this year too, and he
loved that player. Eric. Loved that player. Yeah.
I for one of the smallest guys in the league, like he's fearless. He doesn't back down from anybody. He goes hard to the net. He can kill penalties. He scored 20 goals for the first time in his career this year, and this was his first full NHL season. I think that we're just sort of starting to see the type of player that he could become, and you'd hate to lose one of these guys before their potential is fully realized.
Yep. Well, Yamo, he had the slow start season, right? I mean,
yeah, he had a really tough time scoring early on, but I mean, you look at how he was able to rebound from that. Yeah. He still finished with 20 goals and a career high 41 points. I think that next year he could get over 50 points. I would like to see Puljujarvi get over 50 points next season as well. And I think the way that they're going to have to fit these guys all under the cap is by giving them bridge deals. And sometimes that can come back to bite you down the road. Like you look at Darnell Nurse, they bridged him several times before they had to pay him over $9 million on a long-term deal. And I know most of those were UFA years, but that's kind of the risk you take when you do multiple bridge deals in a row. I think for the situation with Yamamoto and Puljujarvi, they have no choice though, because they don't have the money that those guys would be looking for on a long-term deal. So you probably sign Yamamoto and Puljujarvi to 1 or 2 year deals, keeping the cap hit on the low side, sort of like a prove it to me contract. And that will maybe give you the space you need to at least try to bring Kane back.
Yeah, that's right. As I go back a while ago, I said that Yama had this slow start, but it was just like for a couple of months. But after that, he really picked it up, and he's been awesome, man. I mean, even in the playoffs, I mean, he's that glue guy. He can be a glue guy for Draisaitl, or he can be a glue guy with McDavid, and he works hard. He's small. He hits. I mean, he's great. He can. He creates some plays out there, and I just hope that, as you said, it goes down with the salary cap. I really hope we could sign both of them. Yeah. Yes, he had a good start of the season, and he had some ups and downs as well. But man, with that size and that he can skate like that, I mean, I think the future is really still good for Jesse. And I think it's every year in the NHL is getting more comfortable. And his English is getting better as well. So, as I said, I just hope that we could sign those 3. And you mentioned the bridge deals. I hope that they can help to sign Kane. But we got to get rid of Cassian, I guess, just to get that extra money to sign.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Zach Cassian as a player. I think that he does have a factor in games with his aggressiveness. And, he doesn't chip in offensively as much as you'd like to see anymore, but every once in a while he makes a good play. Like he had a breakaway last game that he was just stripped of at the last second, but it looked like he was going to pull it backhand and score a big goal that the Oilers would have needed. But it's just it comes down to the money. Like he makes $3.2 million. And it's hard to justify having a player making that much money on your fourth line when you can find a guy who could probably play a similar role that he plays for under $1 million. And when you have big salaries on your cap, like between McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nurse, that's $30 million of your $82.5 million cap next year. So 3 guys are taking up such a huge chunk. You need some value contracts. And I think for that reason alone, Zach Cassian will probably get moved. And like I said, they could also look at possibly trading Tyson Barrie. I think that holding on to him would probably be a wiser decision, at least for one more year, because I don't know who's going to come up and take his spot on right side.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually, since you mentioned it already. Yeah, I was wondering who's going to take over the spot.
The only thing you could do is you could move Philip Broberg over there when he hopefully makes the team next year, because he has the ability to play the left side or right side. But now you're putting a raw rookie in with about 23 NHL games under his belt into to replace Tyson Barrie, who's a 10-year pro. It's just it's a tough expectation for a 21-year-old to come in and handle those minutes in the top four right away. And maybe he won't have to, if Bouchard continues to take a step forward, and with Cody Ceci there, maybe he'd start on the third pairing on the right side. But I would prefer to have him playing his natural side. And I know Ken Holland really likes to have his defensemen playing on their right side too. So he likes to have a good mix of righty-lefty combinations. So having Broberg start his NHL career on his off wing, I don't think is ideal for the Oilers.
Yeah, that's right. I agree on that as well. So I think one more year of Tyson Barrie. And then,
then they could look at trading him. I mean, obviously, his cap hit is even more than Cassian, so that would give them a little extra room. And the cap is going up $1 million next year. Can we
still afford Kane? If, for example, we kept Tyson Barrie and get rid of Zach Cassian, can we afford that with Kane?
Well, yeah, getting rid of Barrie would actually give them more cap space than.
I mean, if we keep Barrie and get rid of Cassian, can we still afford Kane for that, or it's not enough money still?
If we get rid of Barrie?
No, if we get rid of Cassian and kept Barrie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know exactly what he's going to ask for, but having that extra $3 million would help a lot. It's just that would get them closer to about $16.5 million to spend this summer, and you still need to, like I said, sign 3 young forwards and possibly bring in a goaltender. I mean, there's a chance that the Oilers decide to run with Stuart Skinner and Mike Smith as their goalie tandem next year, but I expect Ken Holland will at least explore the goalie market this summer and see if he can find a clear-cut upgrade over Mike Smith. Like Stuart Skinner is on the team next year for sure. And with 1 year left on Smith's deal, you know, you'd have to find someone to steal his spot. But like I said, the Oilers don't have a ton of money to work with, so they have to make those dollars stretch a little bit.
Okay, so I think Koski's not going to go back next year. I think he's returning to the Oilers. You think so?
No, and look, it's nothing against Mikko Koskinen personally, but they have a young goaltender that they've drafted and developed 5 years ago that's working his way up, and Skinner deserves that chance to be on the team. Plus, he's not waiver exempt next year, so you can't even send him down to the minors. I'm sure that some team would claim him. So it's just comes down to that's going to be the main reason that Koskinen will move on. And maybe he'll extend his NHL career and land with another team, or perhaps he'll just decide that he wants to go back to Finland. I guarantee that there will be a team in the Finnish league that will pick him up. So,
there you go. We could use some salary. I mean, the salary of Mikko to add on to hopefully sign Vander Kane.
Yeah, but really the money that the Oilers are going to be losing from Mikko Koskinen's contract is going to go right into the Darnell Nurse raise that he's going to get.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it really won't make that much of a difference. It almost stays exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And going back to Evander Kane now, while his hat trick made most of the headlines in Game 3, Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins also scored twice and added an assist in the 8-2 win. And, you know, they were both pretty quiet in the first 2 games in Edmonton, but they really stepped up in a big way in Game 3. Chester, how important is it for players like Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins to take some of the offensive pressure off of McDavid and Draisaitl, who always seem to have to lead the way?
Oh, it's very important. You know, I think in any sport, it's just not about 2 superstars to carry a team. You know, you have to have that third, fourth guy, or, you know, fifth, or as a team, like the whole team to contribute. You know what I mean? And that for me, after Connor and Leon. It's those two guys, you know what I mean? They're signed long term with us they're pretty much the same amount with their salary. So, and they're veterans already in the league, and they're huge. Those, I mean, as you go back with Hyman and Nuge, I mean, not only can they contribute with the offense, they can penalty kill, they can play good defense as well. And both of them are greedy guys, especially Hyman. I mean, he's like a horse there sometimes. Like, he's dominating, and you can see he can really skate, and very skilled player as well. That was a good pickup. People say that we overpaid him, but that's how it works right now. If you want to get good quality players, you got to pay them, right? So, I mean, those two are very important. They could put the puck behind the net, and as I said, they can do the penalty kill. And both are very skilled and perfect to be on those lines with Connor and Leon.
Yeah, you're always going to overpay a little bit in free agency, and that's something the Oilers had to do. I mean, they were really desperate, as I mentioned a little earlier. They were desperate for some scoring on the wings, and Hyman came in and had a career-high 27 goals this year. Nugent Hopkins was injured for a good portion of the year, but still put up respectable point totals. And like you also said, they are very dangerous together on the penalty kill, and scored a few shorthanded goals this year. And even though we're used to seeing McDavid and Draisaitl put this team on their backs over the last several years, you really do need contributions from throughout the lineup to win in the playoffs. So for me, it was great to see Hyman and Nugent Hopkins each have 3 points in the biggest game of the year. And additionally, 11 different players had at least a point in Game 3. And perhaps more impressively, McDavid and Draisaitl only had 2 points on a night when the team scored 8 goals, which shows how much the Oilers' secondary scoring has improved.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, the first goal was from the two superstars. I mean, from Draisaitl and McDavid. Then after that, I mean, just our key. I mean, some of our players just contributed and piled up the points. So it's great to see that. As you mentioned, how many? 11 of our players.
11 different players had a point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It's good. I mean, I was like, shouting on the couch watching that game. Like, I was like, it was just fun. Like we're scoring a lot of goals, and it's just good to see in the playoffs, dominating, and you can see the guys who really want to get that, that home ice advantage again. Yeah, it's great. It was great. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, for sure. And I noticed that a lot more this year than in previous seasons. That at the end of the night, if you looked at the game sheets, there were 9 players, 10 players, 11, sometimes as much as 14 or 15 players who had a point in a game for the Oilers. I remember there was one game where they beat Montreal 7-2, I believe. It was Evander Kane's first game with the Oilers, actually, back in January. And I think it was 15 out of the Oilers' 18 skaters had a point. And McDavid was one of the only 3 who didn't have one that night. So, it just shows that this team's depth has really come through for them this year, more so than, I think, in any other season in the McDavid era.
Yeah, since, we didn't have that the past years, it was, we were relying very heavily with those two, with McDavid and Draisaitl. And it's just good that Ken Holland was able to get some pieces to add on to play with Connor and Leon. And as you said, that steal of the steal. I mean, we got Evander Kane for a steal. I mean, he was we're paying him how much? Like,
he's still getting $2.1 million, but it's a prorated deal because he only played half the year.
Yeah, but he's still getting money anyway from his previous contract with the Sharks, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, that contract was terminated, and he actually flew to New York for a meeting with the league to see how that situation was going to pan out, because he still had 4 years left on his deal when he was bought out. Yeah. And, it was a $7 million a year deal. So realistically, the Sharks owed him $28 million. I don't know if he's going to get all that money or if it's going to be spread out over a period of time. My hope is that he is going to get that money, because I think that if he does get paid the money that he was owed by the Sharks, he's more likely to take a discount deal with the Oilers and would allow them to fit him under the cap better.
That's what I'm hoping. Really, I really hope he. I know he's not going to get much money with Edmonton, but if he's really happy and wants to play with Connor, you never know. He might sign that deal if we offer him that. Hopefully a 4-year deal would be great. 3-4 years for him, as you said, $4 million a while ago.
Yeah, because you don't want to go on too long of a deal, and I'm sure he would like to sign a long-term contract that would take him to the end of his career. But with several forward prospects that the Oilers have in the system that they believe will be NHL players, and given his age, I just think you don't want to go too long on a deal with him.
Yeah, because he's 31. 4 years, he'll be 34, 35. So, and he's having another baby soon, I think. So he's expecting soon another baby. I mean, his second one. Did you know that?
I haven't heard anything about that. I know he has a daughter.
Yeah, and then he has I think the girl that he's having his second baby is his past girlfriend. They came back together. That's what I think. It's a model as well. Maren Thagan, I think. Something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think
he's looking for stability, is what you're saying. Like, he's looking for a place where he can, feel that he's going to have his career settled for the next several years. And I'm sure that'll be something that, he'll be looking for in his negotiations.
Yeah, him and his girlfriend are living in Edmonton right now. Mm-hmm. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, his girlfriend's watching the games as well. Yeah,
I saw Lauren Kyle, Connor McDavid's girlfriend, post a picture of all the Oilers' girlfriends at Game 1, and they all had matching orange jackets on that someone must have made for them.
Yeah, she was there too. Kane's cool. Girlfriend. Yeah, she's her stomach's really big right now, so I think it's next month, maybe anytime soon, I guess. Yeah.
Perhaps we'll have to keep an eye out for that. So the Kings scored 2 goals late in the second period to cut the deficit to 3, but the Oilers responded with 3 more goals in the third period to put the game away. Chester, were you worried at all that the Kings might be able to come back and beat the Oilers in that game?
In Game 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they scored 2 goals, right? After we had a 5-0 lead, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
I was not that nervous, to be honest, because we still had that 3-goal lead cushion, you know what I mean? And the boys are playing great since the start of the puck drop in the first period. So I wasn't really that nervous that the Kings might, but you never know. But I was expecting that we'll win that game, because I could see that the boys are into it on that game. As you mentioned, we end up 11 players scoring a point, So, it's just great, but it's just totally different in Game 4. It's the opposite.
Yeah, I obviously would have preferred them not to give up those 2 goals in the second period, as well as a power play opportunity to start the third, which could have made it even closer. But
it'd be good for Mike Smith to have a shutout as well. So
yeah. But I was honestly never scared that the Kings were going to come back and tie it up once the Oilers went ahead 5-0. Mike Smith was dialed in all night, and the Oilers were still spending a lot of time in the Kings zone. So even when it was 5-2, I felt pretty confident that the lead was safe.
Yeah, that's what I felt too. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, was there anyone else who really stood out to you in the game other than the players we've already talked about?
I thought Evan Boucher has been great since Game 1. Game 1, 2, 3, he's been solid. He was strong in the puck, making good plays. And, I just found that he was really solid the first 3 games. So it was, as I said, Game 4 was everybody was really off. So, but he was been solid. He's been playing with Duncan Keith, right? He's been paired with Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just the puck moving, and he's shooting the puck a lot. So that's what I really like. Because in the season, sometimes there are times that just shoot the puck. I mean, he has that shot, but he often to pass a lot of the pucks.
He's starting to use the shot more and more often, and
yeah,
he has such a powerful slap shot, and he gets shots through. I just think that we're just beginning to find out how good this kid is. I mean, this was, for all intents and purposes, his rookie year. I know the league doesn't classify it as that because he spent a certain number of games on the roster last season that took away his rookie status. But this was his first full NHL season, and he had over 40 points. I think that once he reaches his full potential, we're going to be talking about a 60-point defenseman, especially when you look at who he's going to get to play with on the power play. He's landing right during McDavid and Draisaitl's prime. So the chance for him to pile up the points over the next few years is definitely going to be there.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to, the future's bright for Evan Boucher. I mean, he's a smart player. I mean, he had his up and downs well during the season. I mean, but he's still young. He's learning as well. So he'll get there. He'll be an elite defenseman in this league for a long time, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that several other defensemen had good games as well. Duncan Keith, his D partner, he was making really good decisions with the puck, moving it up ice consistently. Cody Ceci, I thought, had a quietly good game. Picked up 3 assists, and just he didn't do anything spectacular, but he was just making solid plays all night, and led the Oilers in ice time, led them in penalty killing time. You're starting to see these guys that you might not expect to be heroes step up and have a big impact on the game. And of course you could go to the usual suspects like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They still had an impact on the game. McDavid had 2 assists in the first 10 minutes, but it's nice to see that he's not the first name that comes to mind every night when the Oilers get a win. It's just you're starting to see more and more players come through in the clutch, and that was a game that McDavid and Draisaitl did get on the score sheet, but didn't have to be the drivers, at least.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, it's always those two that drives the team, but it's good to see that. I hope we can get that again in Game 5, and boys, jump up from the start and put the intensity high. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah, it's very important. That Game 5 is going to be. That's going to be a very important game for us, for both teams, actually. I mean, the Kings made it a series. They tied the series, so, I mean,
all right.
If we won that game, if we won the Game 4, maybe we'll be pretty confident we're going to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it around.
Well, let's move on to Game 4 now. And as great as the Oilers looked in Game 3, they were equally awful in Game 4. So we probably won't spend as much time talking about this game. Yeah. The Oilers fell behind 2-0 in the first period, and the Kings added 2 more tallies late in the game, including an empty netter, to secure a 4-0 win and pull even in the series. Chester, there wasn't much to like about this game. Did you get the feeling early on that it was going to be a tough night for Edmonton?
Well, I was expecting that the Kings are going to push hard, because it's win or go home for them. I mean, they're not going home because the series is not over, but if they lose that down 3-1 going back to Edmonton, it's going to be very, very tough for them. So they came into that game really hard. They came prepared. They really came to play, and unfortunately, we didn't match that intensity. The boys were kind of, I mean, they're not on that level where the Kings are in Game 4. So, the Kings showed that they desperately need to win that game, and they showed it on the ice. They were physical, playing good hockey, smart hockey, and can't say much because everyone was, didn't play their best game. I mean, I thought Leon was. I thought there's some injury nagging with Leon, because I thought that he was kind of quiet in that game.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me off air that you were wondering if there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, because I just felt that it's not his game. So I thought he was like feeling some injuries or something, or he just I saw a different Leon in that game. So, but hopefully it'll be different in Game 5. And to be honest, Mike Smith kind of kept us in the game. Like we hit like 2 goal posts in the first period. Yeah, right. I mean,
yeah, he was easily the Oilers' best player in Game 4.
Yeah, easily we could be down with 5-0 in the first period. I mean, he kept us on the 2-0.
And if you think about it, the first goal the Kings scored was off an Oilers turnover. All they had to do was clear the puck out off the glass, and it wouldn't have resulted in that play.
Wasn't it the referee's fault or something?
I mean, there was an official near them, but I'm not going to... I blame the officials for lots, but I'm not going to blame them for that.
Yeah, well, that was just as I said...
That was a situation where they had to get the puck out, and they didn't, and it ended up in the back of their net. And the second one was a deflection off Duncan Keith's stick. Yeah. That, he got his stick in the way to try and disrupt a play, and it ended up elevating off the blade and just beating Mike Smith. So it easily could have been 0-0 going into the third period. And then, of course, the third one they scored was where Nurse tripped Grunstrom, and he just continued to crash into Mike Smith and sort of punched the puck into the net. However, it was reviewed, and the officials and the command center, I guess, all agreed that there was nothing he could have done on that play to get out of the way or stop from directing it over the line. So it was kind of a borderline one. I thought that they might call it back just because it looked like the puck made contact with his glove when it went in, and he did push Mike Smith into the net, but they're going to say that Darnell Nurse forced him into his own goaltender. So that's why they obviously counted it. But a disappointing one for sure. And then, of course, the empty netter put it away. But I mean, look, when the Oilers are on top of their game, I don't think the Kings can handle them. Not only do the Oilers have the 2 best players in the world in McDavid and Draisaitl, but they're a team now that regularly rolls 4 lines. They're deadly on the power play. Their penalty killing has been strong, and they're getting steady goaltending. So if the Kings don't score first, it's very difficult for them to get back in the game because they simply don't have the game breakers that the Oilers have. But unfortunately for the Oilers, the Kings did get an early lead and were able to hold on to it all night. They were relentless on the forecheck. They beat the Oilers to every loose puck. And overall, they were the more desperate hockey team. Jonathan Quick was outstanding in goal, too. He stopped Kyler Yamamoto on a point-blank opportunity, even after his glove fell off. So when you can't find the back of the net on a chance like that, it's just not going to be your night.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the game, but I was just listening to Bob Stauffer. So that's why I mentioned to you the referee, because I think Bob Stauffer was really pointing at the referee on that first goal that the LA Kings scored. He was like, I don't know, he was just saying it was the referee's fault. That he got
in the way when he was trying to clear the puck.
Yeah, he was mentioning the referee that time. So I was just listening to him when I was at work. So I was just listening to him during the game.
My issue with the officials is more the lack of calls than anything to do with that particular play. I mean, and I must say the Oilers or the officials are calling more infractions that happen against the Oilers than the previous 2 years in the playoffs, but there's still some obvious calls that get missed, and it's very frustrating to see. But at least Connor is starting to draw some penalties, which he hasn't been. He went 8 straight playoff games without drawing a single penalty, and I think so far in this series he's drawn 4 that I can remember. So at least that's at least one bright spot.
Good to see. Yeah.
But if the Oilers want to have a better result tomorrow night, they have to play with more energy right from puck drop. They have to find a way to extend plays in the offensive zone and get more shots, especially up high, because that's where they've scored a lot of their goals on Quick. He tends to go down early, and he's not the biggest goaltender as it is, I should say. So they're able to beat him up high, and they have to win more puck battles along the boards, especially in their own zone, because that's how the Kings generate a lot of their scoring chances, by turnovers and, grinding the other team down. So I'm expecting the Oilers to play with a lot more intensity in Game 5 than we saw in Game 4. I'm
expecting that as well. We can't go down 3-2 going back to LA. It's just can't. No, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, this is the biggest game of the season coming up. They have to find a way to win on home ice, and then hopefully take care of business on the road on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's good to finish the series ahead than the other teams playing, to get that rest to the next round.
And then we just have to hope that Calgary and Dallas continue to beat the crap out of each other, and that we have
they're tied as well, right? 2-2. I think Calgary won.
Yeah, Calgary won 4-1 tonight to even the series 2-2.
Yeah, man, that would be crazy if Edmonton and Calgary will advance to the next round.
It's been 31 years since we've had a Battle of Alberta in the playoffs, and we've really started to see this rivalry reignite over the past couple of years. But I think that if they did meet in the playoffs, it would take it to a whole new level. That being said, the Dallas Stars would be an easier opponent to play, and it would be nice to get a little bit of revenge on the Stars after they routinely beat the Oilers in the playoffs in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Yeah. But I prefer the Battle of Alberta just because, I just like the intensity from the fans in Alberta. It's going to be wild and crazy, and I don't mind playing the Stars. It's always good to have that. Talent-wise, we have more talent than them, and I think we're a better team than them.
Well, so, if it doesn't happen this year, we're going to see a Battle of Alberta in the playoffs eventually in the next few years, because both teams are very good. It's only a matter of time until they meet by playing in the same division. So I'm expecting we'll see it eventually. However, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves and start thinking about the second round. There's a series that they still have to win first to get there.
That's what I was going to say. We got to win against the Kings first.
They got to make sure they get the job done tonight and take a 3-2 lead on home ice.
Yeah. I'm pretty. Are you pretty confident that we're going to get the win tomorrow?
Yeah,
tomorrow morning for me.
I think that they will step up and have a better game. I mean, since Jay Woodcroft took over, the Oilers haven't had back-to-back poor efforts very often. They usually respond from a loss with either a win or at least a much better effort and a closer game the following night. So I would expect that the Oilers will be a lot better in Game 5, especially back on home ice with last change and in front of their own fans.
Yeah, same to me. I'm expecting that as well. What's your prediction? Speaking of Jay Woodcroft, what's your prediction with him? Do you think he will be coach for a long time? Dave Manson too, as an assistant coach. I think those two guys are going to stick around for a while, and I know Ken Holland likes to take care of business in the off season, but I think multiple insiders have put it out that the deal will basically get done as soon as the season is finished. Ken Holland isn't going to be looking for anyone to replace Jay Woodcroft. And if they were, I'm sure another team would snatch him up right away, because he is a very good up-and-coming coach. And the Oilers, I think, would be foolish to not keep him around. Really good to see it. I hope we can sign him.
And just to finish... Yeah, for sure. And just to finish up on Game 4, there weren't many positives to take out of that game on the ice, but there is one positive that came off the ice, and that was seeing a picture of Ben Stelter with the Kings mascot Bailey the Lion. And I think every Oilers fan knows Ben's story by now, but he's an extremely brave 5-year-old Oilers fan who is battling brain cancer, and he's been a good luck charm for the team ever since he started attending games back in March. I believe the Oilers are 10-1 now when Ben is in the building and undefeated on home ice. And he had the opportunity to stand next to his hero, Connor McDavid, during the national anthems for a game. He's also been on the ice with the team for a morning skate. He even received his own Upper Deck hockey card. And it's impossible not to smile when you see him giggling and having fun and hanging out with the Oilers. There's been so many pictures and videos shared on social media of him, and just I think he really lights up everyone's life. And as much as we all want to see the Oilers win every game, hearing Ben's story really reminds us what's important in life, doesn't it, Chester?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is what it's all about. It's bigger than hockey. I mean, it's great to see the boys, especially Connor and Leon, really get into Ben's life. Giving him that strength that he's going to right now in his life. And as you mentioned it to me before, Leon and Connor even went to his house, just to visit Ben. They built that strong relationship together. And it's good to see. Ben's battling really hard. And and the boys are behind him, and even I saw a picture of the mascot of the LA Kings was holding a banner. It says that Ben, you're not rooting for us, but we're rooting for you.
That's right.
Good to see. It's just good to see. It's good to see. And even me, I'm praying for Ben. Just hope that he can get over this. And, yeah.
And it would be great to see the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, just because we're fans of the team. But I can only imagine how special that would be for Ben to be in the Oilers locker room when they bring the cup back, and to have a picture with him next to the Stanley Cup. I really hope that comes true in July and we get to see that. But we just hope that Ben keeps fighting and makes a full recovery. And I was very happy to see that he's down in Disneyland with his family this week. And man, that kid deserves everything for all that he's been through. And I just hope that he gets back to full health and will be able to come to Oilers games for many more years to come.
Yeah. Is he going back? Is he back in Edmonton to watch a game tomorrow?
I believe that his family is headed back now, because there was a picture of him hugging Connor after the game, and it looked like it was at the airport. So okay. I don't know if that was in LAX or if it was back in Edmonton. So we'll have to find out. But I'm sure that he'll be at Game 5 if his family is back in Edmonton.
I see. I hope he's there, because he's our lucky charm,
Me too. And we did talk about the fact that we think the Oilers will have a better effort tomorrow night. But do you have a score prediction for Game 5 as the series shifts back to Edmonton?
I'm going to go 3-1 Oilers.
Low scoring, okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough and physical game. Both teams are going to come prepared, because this is the most important game of the series. So I'm expecting a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I think the Oilers are going to win 5-2. Okay. We did talk about how they're getting contributions from throughout the lineup, and how the depth players have had more of an impact offensively. But McDavid has 6 points in 4 games, but he only has 1 goal. And I just have a feeling that he's going to come through and have a big game in Game 5. I don't want to predict a hat trick, but I think he'll have at least multiple goals tomorrow night, and he's going to lead the charge and get this team back in the lead, because big players come through in the big moments, and we've seen Connor McDavid in the regular season step up when the stage is at the biggest, and he hasn't had the opportunity to have as many big moments in the playoffs. But I think that tomorrow night would be a perfect opportunity for him to have a huge impact on the game and put up a few points and lead the Oilers to victory.
Yes, same here. I'm hoping for a W tomorrow. So hopefully the boys don't take it easy as they did it in Game 4. Yeah,
they have to come out of the gate a lot better than they did, and hopefully get an early lead and just be able to build on that lead and continue to put the puck in the net, because they know that they can beat Jonathan Quick. They have that confidence. Like I said, they outscored the Kings 14-2 between game 2 and 3 in this series before they, were ultimately shut out last game. But if they can get back to that, then there's no chance that the Kings will be able to beat them. And it's almost like some 1980s scores that we've seen the last couple games here.
Yeah. During the Gretzky days.
Exactly.
But I'm just, I'm going to pray hard for this. I really hope that we get the W, because the Kings they're going to come to play tomorrow. That's for sure. They want to go back to their home ice with a 3-2 lead. So, and
they're the underdogs in this series, right? Like, they don't have as much pressure as the Oilers do. So if they do end up winning, now the Oilers are really up against the wall, needing to win the final 2 games of the series to advance. So biggest game of the year tomorrow night, and I expect that the big boys will come through for the Oilers, and like I said, it'll be a 5-2 win.
Okay, I'm going 3-1. Hopefully we can get this one. Go Oilers.
Well, Chester, it's been awesome talking to you again tonight. Where can people find you on Twitter?
So it's just _Chester Taylor. So that's my Twitter account. Yeah, if they can give me a follow, that'll be great. And mostly I just tweet about the Oilers, and
All right, so everyone, please go follow Chester. And thanks again for being on the podcast. I'll have to have you back again soon, man.
Yeah, just let me know. It's already 11:10 here in the evening, almost midnight.
Yeah, we make it work despite the time difference from Saskatoon to Melbourne.
Yep. Everything
all right, have a good night, man.
All right, you too as well.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So for Chester Taylor, I'm Eric Friesen. This has been the 99 Forever podcast. We're out.